this Saturday, Las Vegas. It is on pay-per-view, Prime Video. Chris, yes or no, real quick? Are you gonna pay for this? I heard it was like $80. You paying for this? All right, that's all I need.
I'll find a way to watch it, but
I don't. Yeah,
um,
I don't think many people are gonna pay for this, but hey, they're trying. Look, they got Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton. The rematch, to me, I thought Figueroa won the first one. Stephen Fulton got the nod by the judges. They're running it back. Uh, I would say in different stages of their career, Fulton was stopped by Inoue. Uh, struggled a little bit in his last fight as well. So we'll see what Fulton we get. Figueroa is still Figueroa. My favor him in this fight, but we'll leave that for later, the official predictions. I think that's a good one to include in our predictions. We also got Isaac Cruz against Angel Fierro. Pitbull, Chris. Pitbull, Krillin Cruz. They didn't want none of that Ryan smoke. That's your boy.
hey, he's trying to be respectful to the opponent in front of him. He doesn't want to, see ahead. I get that. I would have still signed it. I would have still, insured the bag. But hey, he only knows where he does that. But he doesn't. He doesn't want to overlook his opponent, man. I think that's his mindset.
Oh, Pitbull, Krillin Cruz decided to go through with the Fierro fight. They didn't want the payday, it seems like, and we'll see if he gets another chance at Ryan Garcia. But, we also have Jesus Alejandro Ramos versus Jason Rosario. I think good test for Ramos. He should be able to win this one against the veteran Jason Rosario. Ramos' only defeat was to Lubin. I thought he won that one as well. But we'll see. That's an interesting fight. That's a very interesting fight. So this, as I said, it's going down this Saturday, February 1st. Las Vegas, Amazon pay-per-view. And, of course, the headliner, Battle of the Davids, Benavidez versus Morrell. Chris, let's start with Pitbull Cruz. What kind of Pitbull are we going to see? Do we get a knockout this time around? Last time, he got outboxed by El Rayo Valenzuela.
Somebody that knows that, hey, I'm not in people's favor. People like Gio here, they're not too convinced. So I think he needs a knockout. I think he's gonna push for it, and I think he gets it. Obviously the last one that we saw was against Rolly Romero, and that's the type of people that we're used to. So I envision him getting a knockout. I think he knows he needs it. I think he's gonna push this fight, and I see him getting it. Again, I think he's gonna struggle in the beginning. Adjusting to his style, but I do see Pitbull Cruz getting a knockout against Angel Fierro.
Yeah, I agree with that. Fierro, 23 wins, 2 losses. He hasn't been stopped. He does have 18 KOs to his name. He won his last fight by TKO. That was in November of last year. And then his previous fight before that, he took an L in June of 2024. I agree. I think Pitbull should get a stoppage in this one. Pitbull Cruz, who is now 26-3, 18 KOs. How I feel about Pitbull Cruz. I feel like he's massively overrated. He already has 3 losses, but people love him, so he's gonna put people in seats. Not sure too many people will buy the pay-per-view for him to watch him fight, especially against a guy like Fierro. But he's a name. People love him, man. Look, when he fought on that undercard of Crawford and Madrimov, I went to one of the events over there at Venice Beach. He got the loudest cheers along with Andy Ruiz. Then there were some names on there, but Coley Anderson, obviously the headliner, people didn't even seem to care about those guys, Chris. As soon as Andy Ruiz and Pitbull Cruz came out, loudest cheers, and after that it was crickets. So, this guy, he has some pull. The fans do like him, and I believe that he should have taken that Ryan fight. But look, we're here. I think he does need a stoppage. As I said, he lost the last time out on a split. Man, they almost robbed my boy Rayo, man. That's crazy. A split. He got outboxed. To me, Rayo outbox is an understatement. But anyway, before that Rolando Romero TKO, I know that put him in the radar of a lot of people as well. And the loss to Tank Davis, I think some of his notable fights, he got some losses earlier in his career. What was this? His sixth fight, he took a loss. But yeah, as I said, he should be able to get a stoppage here. The 26-year-old Isaac Krillin Cruz. Chris, I'm gonna call him Krillin. Let's see if he looks like a pit bull this weekend.
Yeah, no, all the events I've been to where Andy and people are at, Gio, even the ones years past, I'm always shocked how much love Pitbull gets. Again, he's the quintessential Mexican fighter. He's got the Mexican come forward style, go for broke, bombs away, tries to get knockouts as much as possible. You never see him try to box. That's just not him. And that's, reminiscent of the Julio Cesar Chavez days. Again, he's also very humble, doesn't speak English, only speaks Spanish. People relate to that. People appreciate that. I think of the Tito Trinidad word. When Tito didn't want to learn English, he just wanted to be connected to the people, to the language, to the culture. So yeah, again, he's like you said, Joe, he's got a lot of gravitas when it comes to the Mexican public. So people are going to support him. And again, he's just one knockout away, one highlight away into getting people's good graces. Again, I think people forgive him for that fight against Rayo because, I didn't expect Rayo to box Gio. I think it was the perfect game plan by Robert and Co. and by Rayo, but I didn't expect that. If it was a toe-to-toe kind of fight, you best believe that Pitbull would have caught him. But again, Rayo fought an excellent fight. He's a champion now. We like Rayo. Rayo is that kind of fighter that gives the fight fans, the fight that they want. But this time for this fight against Pitbull, he's like, let me just take one for myself, and he did, and he's in the driver's seat. But I do believe Pitbull is going to bounce back just like Rayo did. I envision him doing it in this fight, and he's going to look on to bigger and better things, and hopefully we get a Vegeta Goku, man. We get a Ryan Garcia versus Pitbull Cruz, later on in 2025.
Let's go to some comments here. Let's see what the people are saying. Pitbull look great versus Rolly, says MAW, but limited versus Cabrera and Rayo. KO for Pitbull will put him back in the good books with the fans. Iceman agrees with him. Rayo school that little Chihuahua, says Big Bro. Iceman says, I give Robert some credit for the Pitbull fight for sure. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of put him over the hump in my list for Trainer of the Year. He only had Rayo for those eight weeks, Chris, and man, we saw a huge difference. So yeah, big ups to Robert Garcia. We'll see. We're both predicting a KO for Pitbull. Brandon Figueroa, Stephen Fulton, Chris. We got some comments on here as well. Fulton Figueroa rematch is a goodie, says MAW. I had Figueroa winning against Fulton, says Iceman, in the first fight, and Fulton didn't look good in his last fight. Big Bro says Fulton is beating Figueroa again. What do you think, Chris?
This one's a 50-50. Honestly, I feel like I haven't paid too much attention to Brandon. I always want to say, what's going on in their lives outside of the sport? Are they distracted? Are they locked in? I try to pay attention to those things, but I haven't seen too much of Figueroa. I want to say based off the skill level, they're both very competitive, both pretty up there. But I want to say Brandon. I want to say Fulton. I almost want to. I feel like that fight with Inoue maybe took some out of him. So with that kind of logic, might be wrong, but I'm gonna say Figueroa. I'm not convinced fully, but 52-47 for Brandon Figueroa. And I gotta think whether he gets a decision or knockout. But I think I'm gonna favor Brandon.
Well,
what about you?
You got to say it. It's going in our predictions.
I'm gonna say decision, Brandon Figueroa, but not fully convinced.
All right, Figueroa decision. Yeah, that was my prediction. Look, I didn't like how Fulton looked in his last fight either. I believe he went down. No, can you guys correct me if I'm wrong? He won a split decision versus Carlos Castro. This was in September of 2024. And of course, before that, he was stopped by Naoya Inoue. He just fought probably a smarter fight than Figueroa. We know what Figueroa is going to do. He's going to come at you. He wants to fight on the inside, even though he is a little tall for his division. You can say he has the long arms, but he is. And I think this time around, I think he has a little bit more left in the gas tank. Figueroa, 25-1. 19 KOs, 28 years old. How old is Steven Fulton? 30. So they're right around the same age. Figueroa is coming off Jesse Magdaleno KO, win against Magzayo. Carlos Castro, he TKO'd him. And then he had that loss versus Fulton. But before that, the one that stands out was the KO over Nettie. If you remember that body punch that took Nettie out. I think Figueroa gets his revenge, and I think by decision as well. But styles make fights. I think in the first fight, Fulton was a little smarter. I still think he lost the fight, but very, very close. And I think Figueroa will make it a little more clear this time around. I didn't like how Fulton has looked in his last couple fights. So we're going Pitbull KO. We're also going Figueroa decision. We agree on that. Let's see if we'll disagree on the main event, Chris. David Morrell coming into the fight 11-0, 9 KOs, 27 years old, from Cuba. Not a ton of professional experience. If you look at his resume, not any, I'd say, recognizable names. He moved up to 75 in his last fight, won by unanimous decision. That was also on that undercard of Crawford and Madrimov. And you see the resume there. You probably won't recognize many names. But let's look at David's, Chris. It's not like we're going to recognize many names either. 29-0, 24 KOs, 28 years old. They're right around the same age, right around the same size. Benavidez also making the move to 75. Last fought Volstik in June of 2024. Why? I don't know, but he fought him. Demetrius Andre, decent opponent, stopped him. Caleb Plant, very good win, won by decision. David Lemieux, not sure why he fought him either, stopped him. And if you go down, not many recognizable names. I like the Romero Alexis Angulo win. Other than that, not much in that thin resume either for David Benavidez. But I think this is a good fight. I think this is a fight he should win. He's fighting a guy with only 11 pro fights. Benavidez has a lot more experience, I'd say, especially in championship fights. The rail fights, the fight against Angulo, even though he missed weight in that one. But he has more championship experience. And as I said, a fight he should win, but we've said this in the past. We don't know much about Morrell. There's not enough a big sample size to be able to say if this guy is the real deal or not. So I think that's what makes it interesting. Morrell coming in at the fight 11-0, 9 KOs. Not too much to do research from, but we'll see what happens on Saturday.
So you're going with Benavidez. Did you say by which way he's gonna win?
Yeah, I didn't even say anything, Chris.
I heard it sounded like you said Benavidez was gonna win. That's what I heard from.
Yeah, let's go to the poll, Chris. I have my mind made up. Let's refresh this. I just posted the poll before the podcast, so let's see how many votes we got so far. 55 votes. 71% are going Benavidez, 29 with Morrell. I picked Morrell on the poll just to mess with it, just to mess up the numbers, but yeah, I'm going Benavidez decision. As I said, I think this is a fight that he should win. He's fighting a relatively inexperienced fighter. Even though I think it will be competitive, I do think Benavidez will struggle in some of those rounds. I think Morrell can make it interesting, try to outbox him. He's a southpaw, strong guy. Let's see how well he can punch. As I said, we don't know much about him, just judging off the few fights that he has as a pro and not really quality fighters that he has fought. So, yeah, for that reason, I got to go with Benavidez.
Yeah, let me just say, when I first saw this fight announced, I was like, whoa, this is nuts. This is not a fight that you, as a fight fan, expect to get this quick, this early. Again, Morrell's a great fighter, Benavidez are great fighters, but the experience factor has to favor Benavidez. He's the youngest 168-pound champion in the history of boxing. That's that garners respect on its own. Again, when I first saw Morrell fight, I was like, this guy's big, this guy's huge, he can fight. He's very promising. But as what I say with all promising fighters, I always say they have to go through the right avenues to fulfill their potential. And when you put these guys too soon, too quick with one of these guys like Benavidez, it can mess them up. It could ruin them per se. And I feel like that's what's going to happen, Gio. I think as talented as Morrell is, he just doesn't have the experience yet. He doesn't know how fast of an Benavidez is with those arms and that power. So I mean, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this turns out to be a very competitive fight, and I hope it goes the distance. It goes, into the championship rounds, so we can see the best version of Morrell. But I don't see that happening unless Morrell really is as good as his team has hyped him up to be. So with that said, I'm gonna say that Benavidez gets a knockout, Gio. I think he gets a knockout. You know, after the eighth, ninth round, I just think he's got too much. He's got too much speed, too much power, and I think he catches him. Again, if I'm wrong and Morrell's able to shock him, that just shows how good Morrell is. But the experience factor has to favor Benavidez. The hunger is palpable on both sides, but man, something about Benavidez just tells me he's just a level above. So with that, Benavidez by knockout.
Dang. All right. Milton says Benavidez going to kill him. Big Bro says Morrell by KO 9 or 8.
Wow.
Let's see. MAW says winner is deserving of 175 undisputed rematch winner. I don't think Benavidez will dominate in this one. Benavidez has been a weight bully for a long, long time. I think he's finally fighting a guy his size. When he fought Vosdik, who hadn't fought in 3-4 years, he couldn't stop him. So, yeah, I think he's going to struggle in this one, but I think he's going to pull it off. I don't think he gets a KO. And I think anything can happen. I think Morrell could win this fight too. But, I'm going with the safe pick. I've learned my lesson from last year. I took too many risks, too many haymakers, and none of them landed.
I'm throwing a haymaker today. I think this is a educated haymaker that I'm tossing out again. I see Benavidez losing the early rounds, Gio. When I see somebody that has a history of losing early rounds the way he lost to Caleb Plant, obviously it's the style clash between a brawler against a boxer. When I think of Morrell, I think Cuban style amateur. This guy's he's gonna box very well the early rounds. I just feel like Benavidez is that kind of fighter that the wave gets bigger as this fight goes, and then the pressure starts to consume the boxer as kind of fighter. So I see that happening in the middle to late rounds. But again, this is like Big Bro says, man. Hey, Big Bro just giving that prediction. I'm like, damn, what does Big Bro know that I don't? Again, these are two big men, and boxing, anything can happen when the right punch lands. And if you have that boxing style, maybe he sets up traps and catches Benavidez. So again, this fight for Morrell, he's got so much to gain.